guys, and thanks for joining us on the Polish American Brotherhood. We have a special podcast today because today is Memorial Day. So thanks for everybody who's joining in on the special podcast. Hopefully we got through some of the technical issues. I spent most of the day trying to sort that out, but I'm joined by my father as well, your friends from the Polish American Brotherhood. Say hi, Dad.
Hello, my friends. Hello, Tara. This is my special day. Day for the all Americans. I think something wrong with the voice.
No, I just turned on your microphone. had you on
Okay,
mute. You're good now.
I'm gonna repeat again. Okay, this is special day for all Americans and special day for me because we're gonna bring the memory of our two heroes, which are Polish American heroes. Okay, they came here to fight for the freedom of all Americans, and that's why we have America. What is America now? Okay, then we have some friends here. I see Bill, I see Mr. King. Hello, and of course, Devon always is here. Okay, so I say hi to everybody, and hopefully we're gonna have a nice time with you, and you can have a nice time with us. Okay.
It's always like a polka party here at the Polish American Brotherhood, right? So, Dad, I know you and I were discussing earlier. What is the difference between Memorial Day and Veterans Day? So, what was a recap of that? Because honestly, I had to think about it myself and look up more what's the difference between our holidays, because we have Veterans Day and we have Memorial Day. So with what the meaning is behind today's holiday, it's interesting because we have so many weird holidays these days. So this one actually, it does actually hit home since I found more of my patriotic roots and everything. So Dad, I'll pose the question to you. What is the difference between Memorial Day and Veterans Day?
Well, that's what I would like to hear from you, but I think both holidays are very important in memory of our veterans and those people who gave their life for America, and also Polish people who came here and they gave their life for America also.
Exactly. Today is the day that we remember our servicemen who fought for our freedoms that we enjoy today. And in honor of them, we also have to continuously also fight to keep those freedoms. So to the servicemen who had died during the wars, American Revolution, the Civil War, and foreign abroad abroad wars, I would say domestic, but there's a reason why we don't have wars that are fought on American soil, and that has to do also with the Second Amendment. But today is to honor all those who had given their lives in service to this country. And here in the Polish American Brotherhood, we wanted to honor two specific Polish American heroes who, without their contribution to the American Revolution, I don't know if we would necessarily have in America.
Yeah, that's right. What Tara mentioned about those two Polish heroes, they are Tadeusz Kościuszko. I'm saying this in Polish language because even George Washington had a problem to pronounce his name. And the other one is Kazimierz Pulaski, in Polish language, Kazimierz Pułaski. Those two soldiers, Polish-American soldiers, they came from Poland to fight for our freedom in the United States. And to get the history, why they did come here to United States if they could fight for Poland, which was under the occupation. Well, it was a problem. Poland was disorganized at that time because of three countries attack Poland and divided between themselves. So Poland disappeared from the map for 123 years. In 1776, Russia, Austria, and Germany they divided Poland and make the Poland disappear. So a lot of Polish people start coming to America to look for a better life because they didn't see any future staying in Poland. And one of them there was Kazimierz Pulaski and Tadeusz Kościuszko. They've been both very educated people. That's why when they came here, they are already been in a higher position. And especially George Washington, he really liked the Tadeusz Kościuszko. He did a lot to protect American, give a lot of contribution to the revolution in America. Basically, he was the one who designed the West Point and the fight in Saratoga, and also protect all the soldiers during the revolution. The second one, Kazimierz Pulaski, he's the father of American cavalry. Well, unfortunately, he died during one of the battles, and he actually never saw Poland again to protect. But in case of Tadeusz Kościuszko, after the revolution, he went back to Poland and he tried to fight against the Russians. There was 2 fights, and one actually he won, and the other actually he got wounded and catched by the Russians. The Russian forgive him alive, but he had to sign that he never comes back to Poland and he can go and be free with no return to Poland. So for a while he came back to America, but eventually he returned to France and then in Switzerland, where he ended up his life. So this is a good memory of that Polish people contribute in a lot to American Revolution, and this is not only American heroes but also the Polish heroes.
So when you see those Pulaski and Kosciuszko statues and bridges, you guys can know a little bit about the history and their contribution to the American Revolution and how we probably wouldn't have an America if it wasn't for the contribution of Polish Americans to the founding of America. So I have some videos that I'm going to also share for you guys. But before we get started with that content, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. My YouTube plug-in for this podcast. You guys can find me on Terra Poem, on all the social medias as well. So please be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you can help out with that algorithm and we can start getting this channel like boosted up now that we are back into the swing of providing you with Polish American content. Actually, today, with Memorial Day, goes back to the history of our own channel and how the Polish American Brotherhood had started. So about 3 years ago, my dad, I had come back from almost a year abroad. That year in 2019, I had traveled to almost 25 countries, and I came back and my dad wanted to establish a YouTube channel to promote Polish American Brotherhood. What does that mean? This is the brotherhood between nations, because Poland also was the first constitution in Europe, the second in the world, and so there's a lot of similar values between America and Poland with the freedoms. Specifically with the relationship with Tadeusz Kościuszko and General George Washington, they were brothers in arms. And so that is the origin of the Polish-American Brotherhood. It's to foster relations between Poland and America, bring you guys interesting facts about Poland that you might not know, and also to give credit where credit is due, because I do feel that as Polish Americans, we don't recognize sometimes the contribution of Polish and Polish Americans to America. So that's actually how this channel had started. Granted, 2020, we couldn't help but become political, and I took the channel and basically ran a riot, so to say. But I mean, that also relates to the channel in the sense that we are continuously fighting for our freedoms, and that is the core value of both Poland and America, that we as Americans hold dear to our heart, is fighting for our freedoms. So that's what Memorial Day is, with commemorating those who all died in the service to America to get us our freedoms and to preserve those freedoms. Today we are still continuing to fundraise for Baby Fadi. Let me bring up the Give, Send, Go campaign. All right. So the Give, Send, Go campaign is linked down below. We are very, very close to our goal. I hope that we can hit it this week. Just $80 more to reach that $1,000 goal, which will get Baby Fadi the eye surgery that he needs to correct a deviation that he has in his retina. Basically, that impacts his ability to develop 3D, to see the world in 3D. It's depth perception, and if it's not treated during early childhood, can result in permanent loss of vision. So, guys, thank you for being very generous in the past 2 weeks since we've launched this. This is actually going into the second week. Since we've launched this campaign to get Baby Fadi the surgery he needs. The link is in the description. You guys have been totally awesome with supporting this fundraiser. We're within a week and a half. We're very close to reaching that goal. So any super chats that are received during the podcast, this live stream, I will be directly donating that into the Give, Send, Go campaign, matching that, contributing my own end with the various fees that YouTube may take out from those super chats. I will be matching that and putting that directly one-for-one into the Give, Send, Go campaign. Or you can click directly into the link that's displayed below in the description and contribute directly to the Give, Send, Go campaign. So thanks again, guys, for continuing to support our fundraiser to get Baby Fadi the surgery that he needs so he can see the world. All right. So going back to the history of our own history of the Polish-American Brotherhood, the early content that we had was, top 10 facts about Chopin, things you might not know about Poland. And actually, Dad and I had created a video about Kazimierz Pulaski and also Kosciuszko. So I'm going to go ahead and play that for you guys. We got to search back several years ago to the early videos of the Polish-American Brotherhood to get that up. So, Dad, how has your Memorial Day been while I bring this up?
The memorial was very good. I was waiting for that live stream to express my opinion about the revolution. And in my heart, America is a very great country and good friend of Poland. And Poland is a good friend to America, especially now when the other country is in war, and Poland and America is the biggest contributor to helping the Ukrainian people to fight for their freedom. And hopefully, eventually, they will get it, So I keep in my mind, that all the Ukrainian people not fighting only for themselves, but also for us, not only for Poland, but European and America also. Because Russia is evil, and we have to fight the evil.
Sorry, Dad, about that. Continue your thought.
I says that Russia is evil, and we have to fight the evil.
Putin kaput, right? All right, so we do have the video queued up. Yes, exactly, Mr. Bill. This is classic Polish-American Brotherhood content. So the first video I'm going to play for you guys is 10 facts about today's Kosciuszko.
Historical figure has been so
unanimously
respected and even worshipped in Poland as Tadeusz Kościuszko.
The impact of the storied engineer, military general, and statesman, however, spans much farther to become the most famous Polish figure in American history. Kosciuszko is the dashing, handsome Revolutionary War hero whose national memorial stands at the corner of 3rd and Pine in Philadelphia.
Hello, I'm Marian Szczepański with my daughter Tara Szczepański, and we are your friends from the Polish-American Brotherhood.
Why is Kosciuszko so beloved in Poland? What made his glory spread so widely? Last but not least, how do you actually pronounce his name?
On today's segment of our program, we are going to share with you 10 interesting facts you may know about Tadeusz Kościuszko.
May or may not know. Number 1. Actually, let's start first with how do you actually say his name? Kościuszko? If you have problems with pronouncing or spelling Kosciuszko's name, don't worry. Even President George Washington did too. He reportedly wrote Kosciuszko's name 11 different ways. Chief Little Turtle of the Miami Indians, who visited Kosciuszko in Philadelphia, later even told his tribe that he had made friends with a righteous white man named Kościuszko.
Number 2. In June 1776, Kosciuszko arrived in America, where he decided to join the American Revolutionary War. Kosciuszko made his name as a brilliant engineer and builder of fortifications. He designed the blueprints for the West Point, the key American military fortress. The plan for the Battle of Saratoga was his, and it became the turning point of the American Revolution. As Kosciuszko made his impact on the newly established United States, it soon became his second homeland.
Number 3. In 1798, during his second stay in America, Tadeusz Kościuszko authored a document which, had its suggestions been followed, could have changed American history and possibly paved the way for a different abolition scenario. What exactly did it say? Kosciuszko's last will and testament stipulated that the proceeds of the American estate granted to him by Congress for his 8-year engagement in the Revolutionary War be spent on freeing and educating African American slaves. This included those of his friend Thomas Jefferson, who was named as the will's executor.
Number 4. Throughout his life, Kosciuszko stood up for the rights of many social and ethnic groups. An American biography of Kosciuszko states that Kosciuszko stood up not only for the rights of peasants, Jews,
Lost the voice.
I think we just lost that. Oh, there we go.
but also Native Americans. Chief Little Turtle of the Miami Indian tribe gave the Polish general a tomahawk and a peace pipe as a sign of appreciation. Kościuszko in turn offered the chief 2 pistols, telling him to shoot dead the first man who comes to subjugate you.
Number 5. While still a boy, Kosciuszko became an avid reader of Cornelius Nepos' Lives of Illustrious Men, his favorite being that of Timoleon of Corinth. This 4th century Greek politician, who had disinterestedly liberated his country from tyrants, influenced Kosciuszko's character and later actions. For him, the fatherland became the ultimate good, for which he was willing to sacrifice everything.
Number 6. After 2 years of study in Warsaw, Kościuszko went on a royal scholarship to Paris, France in 1768. At the same time, Kościuszko pursued his interest in drawing and painting and took private lessons in architecture. The French Enlightenment, especially the economic doctrines, became a major influence on Kościuszko's intellectual development during his 5-year stay in pre-revolutionary France.
Number 7. On returning to Poland in 1774, Kosciuszko had little chance of finding a post in the Polish army, despite his burgeoning reputation, as he could not afford to buy an officer's commission. Instead, he took the position of a tutor to the family of the magnate Józef Sosnowski and fell in love with his daughter, Ludwika Sosnowska. Their elopement was thwarted by her father, who found Kosciuszko an ill-suited match for his daughter. This event has been linked with Kosciuszko's discomfort with all forms of social division. In the aftermath of his lost love, Kosciuszko decided to immigrate to America, but Ludwika remained his true love for the rest of his life.
Number 8. To Poles, Kościuszko soon became a saint-like figure. Portraits of him adorned the drawing rooms in many Polish houses, and business in trade of his relics began to flourish. Adam Mickiewicz's romantic epic Pan Tadeusz was titled in Kościuszko's honor. For several generations in Poland, children were named Tadeusz, a manifestation of their parents' patriotism. The name made in even to America where Tadeusz Stevens, the most radical American abolitionist politician, was named after Kościuszko as a hero of American Revolutionary War.
Number 9. Here's a fun fact. Kosciuszko's influence stretches even to the ocean depths. Kosciuszko appears in Jules Verne's novel 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. His portrait hangs in the cabinet of Captain Nemo on board the Nautilus, among other historical figures who sacrificed their lives to humanitarian causes.
Number 10. Tadeusz Kościuszko was born in February 1746 in the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth and the estate near Kosów, North Kosovo, in present-day Belarus. He was son of Ludwik Tadeusz Kościuszko, a military officer, and his wife Tekla. Kościuszko's paternal family was ethnically Lithuanian, but it had been Polonized as early as the 16th century, and Kościuszko's native language was Polish. Well established in Polish and American history textbooks, Kościuszko waits for his wrongful recognition in Belarus. Thank you for joining us in this segment of the Polish-American Brotherhood.
Hit the subscribe button and don't be shy to give us a like. Thank you.
Dziękuję.
Oops, sorry, we were on mute for that one. But that was definitely a walk down memory lane, wasn't it, Dad?
Yep.
I remember when my dad was roping me into be doing these Polish videos. So a funny thing is I started a Facebook. You guys can follow us on Facebook for the Polish American Brotherhood. And when it was 2020 election season, and Dad started posting about President Trump. So you guys know that I was a Trump hater before I became a outward Trump supporter, and guns blazing basically. Because when I go big, I go all the way, right? Go home or go back, basically. But Dad used to post on the Polish American Brotherhood Facebook pro-Trump content and material and everything. And I told Dad that if he were to be posting that, I wanted nothing to do with Trump. And that if he continued to post it, then I wouldn't be involved with creating content for the Polish American Brotherhood, that this was supposed to be a history channel, but that's how it kind of pivoted to being like history in the making.
Yeah. And I got a feeling that Trump and DeSantis gets together and they will try to win the race together. Mr. Trump as a president and DeSantis as a vice president.
You think so? I mean, they're tearing at each other pretty like.
No, it's actually political. Always there is some kind of fighting between, but eventually they're getting together just to I think they will match really good. DeSantis as a vice president. He's very young and he still have a time to become president in future. But Mr. Trump probably this is a last chance, to run for the presidency in 2 years.
Well, that's true. Actually, DeSantis is super young. He would be, the second to youngest? If he were to be elected president, he'd be like the second to youngest to only JFK, basically, which would be awesome. I think we got a lot of old rhinos are in Congress and throughout our government. It would be nice to have like young blood in there as well. But I don't know if I necessarily see a Trump and DeSantis ticket coming about. They are tearing at each other. Like DeSantis before I didn't feel like he really went to attack Trump, but Trump's really been heavy at him, and so have the rest of the GOP candidates. So DeSantis is returning fire. But then again, we did see how Biden ended up having Kamala Harris as his VP, and she basically came out and said a lot of horrible things also about him and accused him of this and that as well. So is it impossible? No, definitely not. Like who saw that they were going to be picking Kamala, or if he was going to be picking Kamala Harris as his VP? But since it's identity politics all in the Democratic side, she fit the boxes, and the only thing is she didn't deliver. So I think Americans are afraid that if they elect Biden in the next election, that they're going to end up with Kamala Harris as the president instead.
Yeah, and I believe that those two would really match, and they will be winning 100% the election if they're gonna go two of them. And DeSantis actually is a very good politician, but he needs still more experience together with the Trump to be as a vice president, and he would be much better after that as a president.
Yes, when I was trying to understand more what are the American concerns, they are interested still in like foreign involvement, but more interested and concerned about the issues in the domestic front, our inflation rates. They have the debt ceiling debates going on right now that, default. They said default is not an option, but supposedly they've reached a deal now that they will be back in session tomorrow. But their credit agencies are already speaking about like downgrading the U.S.'s credit rating. So there's concerns that if they don't work together and solve the debt ceiling crisis, that we can go into another recession. People can be losing their jobs and everything. So I mean, we'll see.
I've been asking if I know any Polish senators or former presidents. If I remember, there was Musk, if I remember the name. And that was during the Carter administration. He was a Polish, and of course the advisor, good advisor to President Trump was Mr. Brzezinski, Zbigniew Brzezinski, and it's hard to back for me the memory of the Polish, because at that time I was more working and not being involved too much in politics or something like that. So spent too much time at work.
Yeah, I remember Dad always like working two jobs, the true American dream. But even with that, like he still was very present in my life and my brother's lives, always coming to my competitions and school performances and everything. So I always said that Dad slept with one eye open and one eye closed, because before any of us even went to school for kindergarten, my brothers and I, we all knew how to read. We all knew how to write. As soon as I could like hold a pencil, my dad had me copying pages out of a book. So that way, and I had to like write a certain amount of pages every single day. And he called it the program. So there was like a checklist on the fridge that me and my brothers had to accomplish our own form of homeschooling, even though Dad was still working two jobs. He was still very present. So, I mean, that alludes to, though, I guess part of the issues that we have with Americans not really being involved in politics or aware of what's going on, because the mainstream media doesn't exactly help that, because the time that people have left over after their work and their families really is just to read the headlines. And so you read that headline, you just assume it from that, if you're not too aware of the tricks that the media plays. But in American media, you basically have to go to like 4-5 different sources in order to complete and read through entire articles to get the full gist of the story. And I know in 2020, when I started watching like the full press conferences from the White House, and then seeing how how the media was reporting on those press conferences afterwards. And so when I was able to see all of President Trump's accomplishments, that was all the things that you never saw in headlines. And then I started like seeing how even Melania was also an amazing first lady and was also very involved, but that never got covered anywhere in the media. And so that was part of my red pilling, as well as watching all of the rioting that was going on in our American cities. And when they were tearing at burning our cities and also tearing down our statues, that actually also relates to Memorial Day. How I had then really had my spark moment was when in D.C., there's a statue of Tadeusz Kościuszko in front of the White House, and BLM had vandalized this statue very heavily and completely covered it. You saw throughout even the world, there was a trend of pulling down the statues of the people that we exalted as heroes in our history, and in an effort to basically this was to make us not proud of our heroes, because if you don't have heroes or anything that makes you proud to be an American, or to stand up for it, they're washing away these memories of the people who should be making us proud. And pride is something that's very important for us to be proud Americans. And so that was kind of what was going on in 2020 when they were taking down these statues, and specifically with the Tadeusz Kościuszko statue. I remember that because my dad became very upset. Do you remember when they vandalized the Tadeusz Kościuszko statue, Dad?
Yeah, I remember, and even that was, I think, Antifa who did it, right? Mm-hmm. And I told Tara that actually Antifa name doesn't match them because they are hooligans destroying the cities. And I call them fascist. The Antifa is for me fascist, okay? But I remember when they destroyed the statue of Kościuszko, which is a hero for all Americans, because he donated all his money for service to America, to all black people. And I hope the black people know and see what Kościuszko did for them. But if it comes to the politics, when Bill asked me about it, I was not involved before. And then when I retired, I was thinking what I can do for America and America can do for Poland. And then I find out thinking, what's the problem in America? And I see the problem with the homeless, which is a rich country, and the biggest problem in the world is the American homelessness. And I see also people who retire, they have problems also. But also I can see what America can do for Poland. Well, America does already a lot of Poland, helping Poland to be safe. Okay, and since of the geographical place, Poland is very important for America. And I was thinking what I can do. Well, if I can get in touch with Musk, I would tell him build a Tesla in Poland close to the Ukrainian border, so you can help both countries, Poland and Ukrainian. But right now I don't see. If any have any idea how I can talk to Elon Musk, let me know, okay? Please.
Dad, maybe send him a tweet.
Yeah.
But going
we'll
back
see
to
what we can do.
Going back to Tadeusz Kościuszko, so when they had vandalized the statue, my dad became very upset, and just here at the house, he was saying how nobody would stand up for Kościuszko, and he was very sad that nobody would stand up for him, and then also that nobody really here in America, do we even know who he is? Honestly, I didn't even really do my research until his statue got vandalized, and I saw how upset my dad was about Tadeusz Kościuszko being vandalized. And so actually, so when I spent about 3 months in DC during that time period, and this is when they had the BLM wall that was in front of the White House, that they had a lot of like trash signs, basically covering the wall. And in protest, I started tearing down the BLM signs that were right in front of the Tadeusz Kościuszko statue. And then when I did that, I pulled down the BLM signs and I said, "This is for Kościuszko." And initially, like, it was just an emotion that came over me when I was standing there looking at the statue and seeing this wall of graffitied signs that were in front of it. And it was emotion that came over me, remembering how they had desecrated his statue in his memory. And so when I pulled down one sign, I just saw the next of it, and then I started just going down the line and pulling down all of the signs just down the row until basically a little bit of a mob started forming behind me, and I was like, okay, I better get out of here. But I did do a couple interviews from street reporters that had asked me why I was pulling down the signs, and I explained that it is a right for them to put it up. However, it's abandoned trash basically. So I also have, it's freedom of speech for me also to pull it down. So it's my form of protesting against BLM, and I call them a domestic terrorist organization. And so that is where I started a lot with my activism, was because of the desecration of this American hero. And then as I delved deeper into it about BLM's ideology and how they were trying to usher in all this agenda of Marxism into America, and how part of it was to make us forget our heroes or to be not proud of them. And so that was part of, my red pilling experience as well. And then also when my dad was upset about Tadeusz Kościuszko, I put up a post just on my social media saying, explaining the history of Tadeusz Kościuszko and his contribution to the U.S. and how they don't even know who he is. And in that post, I had also called BLM a domestic terrorist organization. And this was me speaking actually as a liberal, not and as a Democrat, just expressing my opinion. But the vitriol that I had received online from that, actually I got so heavily bullied on my Facebook from that. Like, I used to write essays on my Facebook and everything that I took down and I deleted, and I was considering turning off my Facebook and just basically disappearing off of online presence. That's how heavily bullied I was getting online from the woke BLM crowd and everything, and people that I went to school with who completely had turned against me because I was expressing this opinion. And to me, I'm like, this is common sense. Any organization that's destroying our cities like this is use of terrorism. This is a domestic terrorist organization. I'm like, hello. And this, like I said, this is me speaking as a Democrat and as a liberal, because it was just common sense. So after I had deleted then several of the essays I had written and decided I was going to get rid of my online presence, I thought more about it, and I'm like, you know what? No. So I ended up not backing down, but double downing, and then started putting more pro-America content onto the YouTube channel, and started going out into the protests and understanding what was happening actually on the ground. And then from there, of course, started streaming and bringing to you guys the coverage that was actually going on in our American cities. So really, I attribute even how I came out as a patriot was because of their attack on the memory of Tadeusz Kościuszko.
Yeah. Well, talking about the BLM, I have a lot of Afro-American friends, and we really like them. They like us, okay? So there is no thing that we would say anything against black people. But BLM, I don't like it, what you done, okay? You just like Antifa, which think it's not so nice what you done to America.
Well, support for BLM has completely gone under. They are, I heard they are going bankrupt or filing for bankruptcy because of the misspending that they've basically had. One of their founders and leaders, how it's basically kicked out of out of her role, and because she had purchased all those houses and then all the those expensive houses, and also the local chapters within the states of BLM had called for an audit of the national board because they raised so much money and corporations were backing them and supporting them completely in 2020 that like where did all of this money go? I was watching a Megyn Kelly interview the other day of a former like BLM person who was saying that basically the use of BLM is over and the true nature of it was to be ushering in this LBG all of the queer agenda that we're seeing now in, because I remember going first to their website to see the mission statement of BLM, and they were about taking, there was no mention of fathers in the mission statement. It mentioned like community and children and women, but there was no mention of like men. And when I started going to some of the protests, specifically the ones in New York, they were always led by like trans women, and that you'd be accused of if you didn't support queer rights, then you were racist. And it's like, wait a second, what does sexual gender identity have to do with racism? So now, like in hindsight, it completely makes sense that its true like mission wasn't even about Black nationalism or what they presented themselves as, but it's now taking the form of all the LGBTQ agenda that we're seeing in now. But it's great that we're seeing patriots and conservatives and Republicans becoming more and more vocal, which even though it's ahead of the 2024 elections, that's what's necessary. So we got the Budweiser effect going on right now with boycotting of Budweiser, and then also with Target. So that's absolutely what's necessary. Mr. Bill, the street reporters, I think they were leftist street reporters, the two that had like come up and interviewed me, and then another girl tried to kick me from behind. That was like on the video as well, but I don't know their names or anything, but I in hindsight to understand what the questions they were asking me, they were definitely like lefty reporters. Yeah, actually, Mr. Bill. So Candace Owens. So I had posted Candace Owens on my Facebook, and people had told me, do not post her. She is a white nationalist. And I was so confused. I'm like, she's Black. How is she a white nationalist? But that was the first thing that they were saying about her in, the comments section when I had posted Candace Owens. So that was also like, the discrepancies and clown world that I started observing that makes me like dive deeper into things as opposed to like accepting things at face value. DJ Elf, I am not sure the next time I'm going to be coming up to New York whenever there are events to be going on. I'll hop up there to be covering those also for the channel and bringing people the updates from what's going on in the ground. But I do not at the moment have plans for New York, but I'm always in and out of there. Okay, so let's bring back up a reminder that we are fundraising. Oh, let me bring up the Give Send Go website. Just a moment, guys. There we go. Share screen. Okay, guys. Bringing it back to our fundraiser, so we are close to raising the $1,000 necessary to get baby Fadi the surgery that he needs. Just refreshing that. The surgery that he needs to get eye surgery. So this eye surgery is to correct a deviation in his blind eye that will, because he sees the world very blurry, double vision, extra vision, and without this correction, he's not going to develop the correct depth perception, which is the ability to see the world in 3D. And if he doesn't receive it early enough in childhood, it can lead to permanent loss of vision. So we are $80 away from our final goal of $1,000, which will cover the entire cost of this surgery. So very close, guys. Thanks for everybody who has been supporting this campaign, and we're gonna keep it going. You guys will see me plugging in the Give Send Go link down below. You'll see me plugging this in each one of our podcasts until we reach the full $1,000. So help me reach this goal. Help baby Fadi to get this surgery. Baby Fadi's father messaged me after yesterday's live stream again, sending appreciation so much for everybody who's been contributing. You guys here at the Polish American Brotherhood. So the description has the link below for Give Send Go. Please continue to support this campaign and get baby Fadi the surgery he needs. Getting used to the pressing buttons around here and everything. So let's talk about Pulaski as well. So Pulaski, we always see those Pulaski bridges around. So who is Kazimierz Pulaski, Dad?
Well, he was, when he came to America, George Washington made him advanced general. He was the favor of George Washington. Of course, the Tadeusz Kościuszko also. Okay, so he created the American cavalry. And that's why
he's known as the father of American cavalry.
That's what they call him, the father of American cavalries. So he was fighting on the side of the George Washington, and George Washington, he says he saved his life. So that's why he was the most favored general for George Washington.
All right, so I got a video queued up going back into the history of the Polish American Brotherhood to search way back into our content, a video that we had made about Kazimierz Pulaski. And hey, Sunshine, happy lady, thanks for joining in the chat. Guys, join into the chat. I want to know who's there. What's great about live stream is the ability to interact with you guys directly. Another thing that I'm going to be adding on to our abilities is we'll do a live call-in show from time to time once I can figure out that tech issue. So, but we will be doing that. So you guys, when I post that phone number, please feel free to call into the show so we can talk about all that is American values and patriots, right? Okay, I'll bring up our Kazimierz Pulaski video now. Oh, walk down memory lane. So I did notice that that there was a slight lag when it came to showing the Kosciuszko video. Since I'm playing this off my desktop, it is using, I guess, quite a bit of the Wi-Fi. So next time we do multimedia presentations, I'll have that coming off of my iPad instead, so that way we don't have any delays. But I think it's okay. So for today's podcast, we'll continue now with streaming Kazimierz Pulaski.
Fast fact. Illinois is the only state to officially recognize Kazimierz Pulaski Day, which falls on the first Monday of March. School is out. Put on your polka dots and broil a few sausages. It's Kazimierz Pulaski Day. Who was this Polish-American war general, and why do we have so many bridges and tunnels named after him? Good questions. Well, outdated biographies and internet history sites tell us this much. Kazimierz Pulaski is known for his contributions to American independence. He was known as the father of American cavalry. Born into a wealthy family in Poland in 1747, Kazimierz Pulaski, as a young man, fought for freedom from Russia in his homeland until 1771, when he was then exiled to France. In Paris, he met American envoy Benjamin Franklin, who influenced him to fight for Americans' independence. Washington was so impressed with Pulaski's abilities during the Battle of Brandywine Creek that he recommended to the Continental Congress to appoint Pulaski as a general of the American cavalry. In 1778, Pulaski organized an independent corps of cavalry and light infantry known as the Pulaski Legion. It's reported that he spent $50,000 of his own money to help train and equip his troops. I came here where freedom is being defended to serve it and to live or die for it, wrote Kazimierz Pulaski to George Washington in a letter in which he offered his military services to America during the Revolutionary War. He proved true to his word. At age 32, his heroic death at the Battle of Savannah on October 11, 1779, was received with such sorrow across the American land. General Pulaski's life represents the dedication of countless Americans of Polish and other ethnic origins to the principles of personal liberty and independence, which have always defined the spirit of the United States of America.
So
Main show. Oh, there we go. Okay, Dad. You were talking about your experience with coming to America and then first working for the car company when you were living outside of Detroit, right?
right, when I came to America, actually, came close to Detroit, and there was a big Polish community, which for me, working for a company named Chrysler Car Factory, after 5 years, I didn't speak that much English too, and I've been 20 years old when I came to America and never speak even one word of English. So that was funny. Maybe because I was lazy or hard to tell. But when I came to, after 5 years to Los Angeles, I got a job for Tiger Air without having too much education, but I had a good mechanical skill, and that's why the company really liked me. So I spent 7 years after the Tiger Air. I got a job for Continental Airline, which was perfect job for me. And I really like it.
I mean, you are the true embodiment of what it means to have the American dream and how we need to keep this American dream still alive. And so, with all the protests that I've been, especially the ones that I was just covering in France when they're like anti-capitalist, and you see Antifa's movement now like going protesting against capitalism, but like the ability to you're not the station that you're born into life. It does not dictate where you have to be in life, and that's the beauty of the American dream, the ability for upward mobility. It doesn't matter where you're born. If you have that as a dream, if you set the goal and you work hard for it, it is possible to achieve it. Unlike other countries where there are caps, where you are born into life, you have no choice but to stay there, and so that's not. That's something that differentiates us from the rest of the world and makes America very unique, is the American dream. And so it's something that needs to be protected, and that American dream is the fruit of our American values, of our value for freedom. And in order, we have to always maintain this freedom. So we can't get lazy about thinking like, oh, we're safe, we're in America, so our freedoms are always going to be there for us. Because once the government like starts chipping away, it's something that you're never going to get back. Like when they used, for example, the horrific tragedy of 9/11 to usher in the Patriot Act, that took away a lot of our freedoms in the disguise of like, oh, we're going to be fighting terrorism. So, and then we saw with the pandemic how a lot of our rights were also chipped at and taken away, and government was overstepping its role. And so when they start chipping away at those rights, you don't think for an instance like, oh, once this pandemic's over, they're going to be giving it back, because that's not true. Once it's taken away, it will never be given back. So that's why if we start protesting something at the point that it's being taken away, we're already too late. We should be vocal to the government continuously throughout, because even if something is, we don't see it as an issue, it's something that we still need to be having rallies for. So that's the importance of taking to the streets and having rallies and protests to maintain. It's not about going out there when something is then happening, because then you're on the defense, and at that point it's already too late. When the mask mandates were in, when people were protesting the masks, later on when they started ushering in the vaccine requirements, that was I remember when the mask protests were going on, I didn't see what the big deal was. I'm like, why is everybody protesting against the mask? It's not a big deal. And actually, it fast forward a couple of years and everything, and now understanding the effects of it, it wasn't about a mask. It's about chipping away at those civil liberties and civil rights that we have, our human rights that we have as an American. It was about chipping at those. And so at the point that we're protesting at these freedom marches, like, it was already pretty late in the game, because it needed to start way before, even with the mask protests that were going on.
One thing what I want to say that the American system, the capitalist, is a great because produce a lot of material things. But there is one thing what we have to improve. That's the problem which the homeless have, and we have to clean up that mess, and also improve the retirees' life.
Absolutely, because with our issue with homelessness, it also, nobody wants to, these Democrat-run cities, San Francisco, Chicago, New York, with their high populations of homelessness, like, you have mental health issues that are there, the increase in fentanyl that's coming onto the streets, that's being ushered in through a southern border, probably originating in China. China's, it's basically part of China's plan to getting America addicted to this fentanyl and to these drugs. Some say it's revenge for the opium wars, but that's all related to, we see homelessness now, but that is the symptom or outward expression of some of the greater problems that we have in America. So we need to be addressing the root causes of that. And it can be, it can range from various issues to how the city is mishandling funds, to also then using the issue to never solve it in order to even get more taxes and get more money from the people. Because if we do have the ability to solve our problems, but there's a reason why things are not being solved. It's to create lifelong problems, because once you solve the problem, there's not going to be everything's a moneymaker. So people are actually, those in charge are actually not trying to solve the problems.
That's right. And if you're talking about the people who are coming to America from the south, from the Mexico border, kind of illegally, this is a mixed feeling. America can have more people because it's a rich country. But the question it is, why the people who wants to come illegally to America, they have to wait many, many years, and then all what you have to do just come to Mexico and cross the border, and you're in America.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the problem, that it's creating an incentive for people to be breaking the law and coming in illegally, because the actual legal process. We have a friend who's been applying for a visitor visa to visit the U.S. now for almost more than a year, versus those who come illegally through the southern border. They're basically, as soon as they're processed, they're given a court date that is 3-4 years down the line, and hopefully they show up, but then they're released into America and into maybe sanctuary cities or all throughout. So how is, people are being incentivized to break the law, as opposed to those who are law-abiding citizens. And we want people who follow the laws. And I do feel like with the illegal immigration issues that we're having, my family being all immigrants and having a lot of family who has immigrated to the U.S. and other parts of the world, how are we rewarding those who are skipping the line, as opposed to doing things the right way?
Yeah, and the one thing it is that okay, we can bring more people, but all the people before they enter the American borders, they should be checked who they are. We cannot just let the criminals in, or who have a bad record or something like that.
Exactly. I remember I still have to post some of the footage that I have of my coverage of the southern border, but when I had I was over in Eagle Pass and crossed over to the Mexico side, and I had been interviewing a couple of people who were there in the caravan. One of the guys was saying how, you see, children and women, there's good people in this group, and he just flat out said out, he's like, but half these people are criminals. I mean, how convenient is it for countries to release people from their jails and have them go across to the U.S. and make it U.S.'s problem then, with the processing time taking so long, and so with my father even being a refugee, the the correct way of claiming asylum is you reach the closest country that offers asylum, and then you apply for asylum at that country. So you have countries that are people who are crossing right through Mexico to come into the U.S. because, of course, everybody wants to be here. But like a lifeboat, if you put too many people into the lifeboat, you end up capsizing the lifeboat, and everybody perishes. So you have to, same way as we put a mask on ourselves first when we're in an airplane before we even put it onto our child. Like, you're not able to take care of another person if you're not taking care first of your own. And then so there is, so the way things are set up now is it creates this incentive for people to be coming into the U.S. illegally, and that contributes also to our homeless problems, in addition to the mental health issues and drug issues that the country is facing.
Yeah. And what I think is a very simple way to solve all those problems, we have in America, but our politicians, they more concentrate on the power and the money. That's what we have the problem.
No, it's true, because like, how are politicians even able to do their job and work when basically everything is campaign fundraising? As soon as you win your election and you're in office, all you're doing is campaigning again for the next election, for re-election. So it's like your entire time is spent just campaigning to get elected, that you actually, once you're elected, that doesn't stop, and you don't get anything done. And that's how you have a lot of congressmen, etc., that are career politicians. I don't know exactly what would be the solution to that, because how are you going to get elected if you don't raise those campaign funds? But then by raising those campaign funds, you become owned by those big corporations who contributed to your campaigns as well. So it's a little bit of a cycle that we got going on, even with our two-party system. Like in Poland, that they had at the last election had like 16 candidates running for president, and then the top 2 go for a runoff. We'll never see anything but a two-party system in the U.S. because nobody is going to break it up. Nobody is going to want to give up power, and more competition, the better. Like, it's great that we see so many GOP candidates entering into the ring, even if Trump is the front runner and has, is leading at the polls. I don't think that this should discourage any of the candidates from entering into the ring, because the more candidates that we have, the better people will be. It will bring their best out, and that's the concept of competition. When you have people competing against each other, the cream of the crop rises to the top, and then you have one victor. The concept of competition is so that way the best comes out. That's why we have the Olympics. That's why we have a first place. When I was talking to one of my friends the other day, he said that at the YMCA, their basketball team, they no longer keep track. They no longer do scores in his son's basketball team. I'm like, what? That's not sports. Like, you have to have scores. Part of also good sportsmanship is being taught how to be a graceful loser as well. And so that's an important lesson to be learned. But instead of so that way they don't have a winner or a loser, probably to spare the feelings of the person who's losing, they've then taken away the first place from the teams. And this is also something I'm seeing at my friend's daughter's school. They no longer give certificates of achievements for their report cards for kids who have no tardies or no absences for the semester, or got straight A's. They don't do achievement certificates, and that's something that I grew up with, that he grew up with, and that's here in Florida. So it's this concept of participation trophies that is taking over society, probably to spare the feelings of the loser, as opposed to teaching people to be good losers, to have good sportsmanship. We're eradicating the standards that we have in America, so that way everybody can achieve the standard or be the standard. And that's not right. You're supposed to set a high standard, even if we want to set a high standard for morality, even if though us as individuals may be very difficult for us to reach, but you should have something that you're always striving for, because part of the human experience is not necessarily achieving that goal, which is great if you are able to, but it's the process of going for it and retrying if you fail. And so that builds perseverance and character to to be striving for that standard and striving for those goals. So that's the importance of society keeping high standards, not eradicating them because those who are not reaching those goals and standards feel bad. So like they say, facts don't have feelings, and we shouldn't be eradicating these standards from society. We've totally gone off tangent when it comes to Memorial Day, but with that, we'll go ahead and close up the stream. It was just a quick stream for today. Thanks for everybody who's joining us here at the Polish American Brotherhood. Dad, do you have any closing remarks for Memorial Day?
Yeah, in this Memorial Day, just all the soldiers, all the military people who gave their life for America is in my heart, and I always will pray for them. And thank you very much for being with us. Thank you, my friends.
Thanks, friends, for joining us here at the Polish American Brotherhood. We are going to be streaming rather consistent. Our next stream is going to be on Wednesday night, and I think after that I'm going to change it up and probably do streams on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. So hopefully my brother will be able to join in a couple of those. But with a parting note that I'd like to leave you guys with for Memorial Day, I hope you spent it doing the things that you love, because you have to remember those who died for you to be able to have those freedoms here. So with that, thanks for everybody for joining us for this stream. Please like, share, and subscribe. And then also $80 away from reaching our goal to get baby Fadi the surgery he needs for getting the eye surgery. So please continue to contribute. Thank you again to everybody who has donated to the campaign. I cannot express with enough gratitude from the bottom of my heart, as well as from baby Fadi's father, how much he appreciates everybody from the Polish American Brotherhood who's been supporting this campaign to get his son this surgery, so that way he can see the world as beautiful as the rest of us. So again, happy Memorial Day. I guess I heard that you're not supposed to say happy Memorial Day because it is a day of solemn to remember those who had fallen. So I'll say happy freedom instead. And have a good Memorial Day. I hope you enjoyed it with your family and your friends, and remembered all of those who had died to secure you the freedoms that you enjoy here in America. Thanks, guys.